going to tell you a little bit more about what happened from a theoretical standpoint, and then you'll digest it. And after the break, you can ask me questions if you want. So first of all, amazing, good job, well done. That one is one for the books. I'll be using that in courses to come. So thank you so much, both of you, for excellent contribution. So the interview, the hypnotic interview, this is what it is. The purpose of it is to understand what the problem really is, which Leah was the most perfect case study because she was very open about the fact that the problem is really not sunshine or making the time for it or getting outdoors. The problem was something else, which is I have a perception of myself as in a sensory whatever way, and I need to address that. That's the problem. Okay, so in doing that investigation of the problem, we're forcing the client to retrieve unconscious and known information. She knew that about herself, but she didn't really know how it applied to going outside. So that was kind of the purpose of the interview, was for her to get an opportunity to associate pieces of information inside of herself. So the fact of doing that association, which we did not force, which she did voluntarily, allows for trance, or as we said, unconscious moments, or I call them, and that's why this picture has knots in it, knots. So she had a knot in there that was like, oh, something about going outside, but I don't quite know what it is. Oh, but if I look behind it, there's a knot about clothes. And if I look behind that, there's a knot about perception of my sensory perception. So we're like 3 layers back now at a knot that created another knot, that created another knot that kept her from going out. So that was the process, was each question undid one knot until she got to the point of saying, fuck this, I'll just get some moo-moos and have different ones for different seasons, and that'll fix the whole thing. Then I'll know how to go out with no issues. That's how she solved it, was just undoing one knot after another. So conflicting realities present themselves, and then you solve them once you know what the conflict is. And that was why it was important to ask her, well, is it important to you to go outside? Is it a health concern? That's why I want people to state those things, even though they're so-called obvious. Because when she hears herself stating it, she's like, oh yeah, well, I definitely want it. It's non-negotiable. This is the reason why I want it. This is why it's important to me. And after she's laid out enough of those knots or enough of those contradicting realities, then she repieces them together towards a solution. So each knot that is untied breaks down the overall problem one piece at a time until the client is freed from their negative position, which she just did so beautifully. So now she connects herself to a new choice. So the investigation must meet the client at the problem, not the technique. Very important. The questions create momentum in the problem and makes the problem malleable. So that's the point of the hypnotic interview, is to create stretch and malleability around a problem until there's enough stretch that new opportunities or new options arise. And that's why what you ask or when you ask it really doesn't matter, as long as it continues to create that stretch. So the questions, oh, I already said that. So solution-based questions do not create stretch. That's the whole trick with solution-based questions, is solution-based questions are conscious. A solution-based question will always keep you in your conscious mind, because what we don't think Leah has thought of solution-based answers. Of course she has. So we want to avoid that, because we're not going for the solution. We're going for the malleability. That's the hypnosis part. So that's why questions need to dig into the problem.